Have you ever wondered why you sometimes make snap decisions that feel right, yet other times spend hours agonizing over a choice, only to doubt yourself afterward? What if your brain was operating on two entirely different tracks? One fast, intuitive, and automatic, the other slow, deliberate, and logical. Could understanding these two systems unlock the secrets behind your judgments, biases, and decisions? Welcome to Thinking Fast and Slow, a journey into the mysterious inner workings of your mind. Are you ready to explore how these mental systems shape your life, your choices, and even your happiness? Our minds are governed by two distinct systems of thought, often working in tandem, but at times in conflict. The first is the fast, automatic, and intuitive system, also called System 1. It's the mental autopilot that enables you to recognize a face, complete a phrase, or dodge a ball without much conscious effort. The second is the slow, deliberate, and analytical system, System 2. This is the part of you that solves math problems, weighs complex decisions, and questions assumptions. Together, these systems form the foundation of how we think, decide, and act. But this dual system framework goes far deeper than just describing how we think. It reveals the strengths and vulnerabilities of our mental processes, offering insights into why we sometimes excel at problem solving and other times fall prey to biases and errors. System 1, the fast thinker. System 1 is your brain's default mode. It operates effortlessly, relying on intuition, pattern recognition, and experience. Imagine noticing someone's mood from their facial expression or knowing instantly that 2 plus 2 equals 4. That's System 1 in action. This system is incredibly powerful because it allows you to make quick decisions without overloading your mental bandwidth. However, its reliance on shortcuts or heuristics means it's prone to errors in certain contexts. For example, System 1 often jumps to conclusions based on incomplete information. It may lead you to assume that a person wearing a lab coat must be a doctor or that a confident speaker is always correct. System 2, the slow thinker. System 2, on the other hand, is your mental workhorse for tasks that require focus and effort. It's activated when you tackle a challenging problem, analyze data, or question a gut feeling. Imagine solving 17 or 24 without a calculator. That's System 2 at work. While System 2 is more accurate and deliberate, it's also lazy. Engaging it requires energy, so your brain often defaults to System 1 unless it absolutely has to switch gears. This interplay between the two systems is where much of the magic and trouble happens. Cognitive biases, when thinking goes wrong. One of the book's key contributions is its exploration of cognitive biases, systematic errors in thinking that arise from the limitations of our mental systems. These biases affect everyone from individuals to global decision makers in ways we rarely notice. Here are some of the most intriguing ones. Anchoring effect. When you rely too heavily on the first piece of information encountered, the anchor, when making decisions. For example, seeing a sale price of $200 for a jacket originally priced at $500 makes you think you're getting a great deal, even if the jacket isn't worth it. Availability heuristic. Judging the likelihood of an event based on how easily you can recall examples of it. For instance, after watching news reports about plane crashes, you might overestimate their frequency and feel anxious about flying. Overconfidence bias. The tendency to overestimate your abilities or the accuracy of your judgments. This bias often leads to poor decisions, especially in fields like finance or politics. Loss aversion. People are more motivated to avoid losses than to achieve equivalent gains. Losing $100 feels more painful than the pleasure of gaining $100, which explains behaviors like refusing to sell a stock at a loss, even if it's the rational choice. The role of experience and intuition. Are gut feelings reliable? The answer depends on the situation. System 1's intuition can be incredibly accurate in areas where you've built deep experience, like a firefighter sensing danger or a chess master spotting a winning move. However, intuition falters in unfamiliar or complex contexts, where biases and assumptions creep in. The key is knowing when to trust your instincts and when to activate System 2 for a deeper analysis. The illusion of understanding. Our minds are wired to seek coherence and patterns, often giving us a false sense of understanding. This is why we're so confident in our ability to predict events in hindsight. After something happens, we craft a neat narrative that makes it seem inevitable, ignoring the many other possibilities that could have occurred. This hindsight bias blinds us to uncertainty and randomness, leading us to overestimate our ability to predict the future. Prospect theory, how we value gains and losses. Don't evaluate gains and losses rationally. Prospect theory, one of the book's most groundbreaking ideas, explains how we perceive value in decision-making. For example, people are more likely to choose a guaranteed $900 over a 90% chance to win $1,000, even though the latter has a higher expected value. Conversely, when faced with potential losses, they might gamble, choosing a 90% chance to lose $1,000 over a sure loss of $900. This asymmetry reveals how deeply loss aversion shapes our choices. The planning fallacy and optimism bias. Why do projects almost always take longer and cost more than expected? The planning fallacy explains this phenomenon. We tend to underestimate the time, costs, and risks involved in completing tasks while overestimating our abilities and resources. This is fueled by an optimism bias, which makes us believe we're less likely than others to encounter setbacks. Understanding these tendencies can help us plan more realistically. The happiness equation. The book also delves into the nature of happiness and how we perceive life satisfaction. It distinguishes between our experiencing self, the part of us that lives in the moment, and our remembering self, the part that reflects on past experiences. These two selves often have conflicting views. For example, a vacation might feel tedious in the moment, but be remembered fondly later because of a few peak moments. This insight challenges us to think carefully about how we design our lives and measure happiness. Practical takeaways. While the book is rich with theory and research, its lessons can be applied to everyday life. 1. Be aware of your biases. Recognize when you're reasoning on mental shortcuts and question your assumptions. 2. Engage System 2 when it matters. For important decisions, slow down and analyze the situation thoroughly. 3. Embrace uncertainty. Accept that the world is unpredictable and avoid overconfidence in your judgments. 4. Plan for the worst-case scenario. Counteract the planning fallacy by considering potential setbacks and building in buffers. 5. Prioritize peak moments and endings. To create lasting happiness, focus on experiences that leave a strong, positive impression. Ultimately, this exploration of our minds helps us understand not only how we think, but also how we might think better. So what will you do with this newfound knowledge? Will you start noticing when your fast-thinking System 1 is steering the ship and call on System 2 when it really counts? Or will you simply marvel at the quirks and biases that make us human? And what does it mean for how we shape our decisions, relationships, and even our happiness? As we close this chapter on thinking fast and slow, remember, understanding your mind is the first step toward mastering it. This is BitBooks. Until next time, keep thinking, both fast and slow.